I can't figure out how Bellick did it. Where do you get a copy of the headpiece? There are no pictures, no duplicates of it anywhere.
I tell you only what I saw with my own eyes. A headpiece like that one, except round the edges, which were rougher. In the center, the Frenchman had embedded a crystal, and surrounding the crystal, on one side, there were raised markings, just like that one.
They made the calculations in the map room?
This morning. The Look and the boss German, Dietrich. When they came out of the map room, they gave us a new spot in which to dig. Out, away from the camp.
The Well of Souls, huh?
Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is a show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. I'm sort of back at it. I'm restructuring my time. Some problems are done. Not all my problems are done. Worlds are done. I hope y'all enjoyed the Worlds video. The 50 people that watched it. Anyway, today what we're going to talk about is maps and why maps are important and what you really need to do to elevate your map game and elevate your decision making when it comes to maps. Okay, now there is what I call the short and dirty rule. Okay, for map selection, it's the map that you are Thor tier on. You're raining down that Zeus lightning on your foes, smiting them opponents, locking them out. Whatever it is, you always have that map. Okay. Then you have a indoor map and you have an outdoor map. That is the typical like map 1, map 2, map 3 selection. Okay. What I want you to do today is sort of follow me on a magical journey as we start to look at our current issue with cartography. In heroclix, and it's a really big issue, and I don't think a lot of people are fully ready for that yet. Okay, so let's sort of jump into it. So I want you to go to acmaps.net. I talked to Clay. He said he's going to figure out integration between AC maps and AC units. So we'll see. That's going to be coming, to a player near you. Okay, so we can say, hey man, and I know this is going to be the easy thing. Hey man, here are all the modern maps. Okay, we know it's X of Swords to current. Here are all the modern maps, and you don't even get Limbo, because I think Limbo is not on the approved list. Or is it? Yeah, I think it's Limbo. It's not on the approved list. I could check here. But what the first thing that we are needing to look at as players is, hey, with the terrain that we have, how is that going to affect this map? With the terrain that we have, or in the future, if you're listening to it, if they decide to rotate terrain, with the terrain that is legal, how do we look at that map with the various different types of terrain? And I know for a lot of you, you're going to say to yourself, Dark Logos, the maps are small, the maps don't matter, terrain is the only thing that matters, because with terrain, I can do blankety blank blank. And some folks are just delusional, thinking that terrain is invincible. And it's not. Okay, so we are dealing with a scenario where we have two ends of the spectrum that are not meeting. The first end of the spectrum is, hey, we have our core map philosophy. This is where we're fighting at. And then the other is, I have these terrains in which I am able to interact with and gain certain levels of fortifications and aggressive positioning with them, just due to them existing. And we're not bringing them together. We're not bringing them together and saying, you know what? This map is a lot more deadly because of terrain. All right, this map is a lot more deadly because of terrain. All right, so for this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to do this in two parts. We're going to break down maps and sort of say, like, hey, here's some things that you really need to be cognizant of in our current design scape. And then we're going to break down terrain and why, combined with maps, they become a bit of a problem. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So one of the first things that people are going to look at with maps, and they're even going to say, hey, like let's talk about modern maps and how that's going to change everything. And to a degree, if you're playing your locals, you are in a little bit of I'll say a bind, just a little bit of a bind, because a lot of those wonderful maps that you were used to having are gone, unless you've been, in the I would call it the Spider-Man meta, where you've been playing primarily on construction site. So for you, construction site dude number 38291, nothing's changed for you. Nothing's changed for you. You're still going to that map, playing all your games on that map. And I know it sounds salty, but it's not. It's not, because I know this for a fact. Construction site, by far, is one of the most popular maps that has been in competitive since it came out. I have fought personally more games on construction site than almost any other map. The only other map that I have fought more games on is Morlock Tunnels. Okay? Put that in perspective. All right? So now some folks, but Dark Logos, all the stuff retired, and this is happening, and that's happening, and the world is changing, and pizza is now delivered to your home. That didn't happen before. And I'm going to come back and tell you, yo, homie, some of the typical selections, that hasn't changed. That has not changed. Your perspective is a little bit off. Okay, out of all the maps that we lost, the only map that is of any significance that we lost, and I'm going through the list right now, is I can make I can make a small argument for Honeymoon Resort and Manhattan Bridge. Excuse me. Those are the only two. You can say, but dark logos. What about negative zone? Morlock tunnels. Like once Morlock tunnels became the thing, it was far superior. It's like, but dark logos. What about desert wedding? It's like that one was your 2022 meta, not so much your 2023 meta. Okay, you could say Otherworld Castle dark logos, like no Jubilee. It doesn't matter anymore. Then it's like, wait, yeah. And then people start to wake up and they realize it's like, okay, you have been playing Spider-Man meta. You have been playing Spider-Man meta. Okay? Very few people are reaching way back in the past, got Samurai Jack, and Fred Flintstone on their shoulders saying, let's go. Maps. Most folks aren't doing that. Okay? And so that leads us, to, the next sort of major issue that we're looking at is you need to think small, not big. You need to think small, not big. Out of our current, list of maps that we have that are competitive legal, you got some rock maps, which are decent size, which for the most part is going to allow rock to have some, I will say, some leeway until they're forced to conform, and I don't know how that's going to look like, or sorry, not how it's going to look like what that's going to look like when that does happen. Okay, I don't know what that's going to look like when that does happen, and what the pricing structure is going to be, or blah blah blah. Okay, I don't know what that's going to look like. What I do know, okay, is eventually it will happen, or they're going to get out of it. Like that's just the 100% God-given truth about it. Either they're going to update to the current format, or they're going to get out of it. But you have, and I just pulled up the modern age legal map list. Okay, so you have Panther Fieldhouse, Barnstable's Wedding, Red Mines, 4 Points, and the Extinct Volcano. Okay, so you have those maps to pull from. All right, those are your options, and then Racer Motors Reunion Variant, Randy Marsh, and Critical Clicks Interdimensional Headquarters. Okay, so you have those options there. Those are your rock maps. Your rock maps are going to be your destabilizers. Okay? Your rock maps are going to be your destabilizers. All right. And why are you going to say that, Dark Logos? Well, let's be honest. If Modern starts at X of Swords and we go to 8C units, and then we explore, and then we go ahead and put in, we are looking for, let's just go into movement, range for the target, speed value. Okay, speed value. We're going to say greater than 11, search. Okay, so here we go. Who do we have here? We have Johnny Quick, Legacy. Darkseid, Legacy. Man-Bat, Legacy. Doomsday, from the new Iconics. Okay. Moonstone, that's at 10. Why is Avengers Prime? Oh, sorry. Moonstone gets an 11. I take that back. So she does get some good movement. Thor Odinson, Legacy. Avengers Prime, Legacy. Loki, Legacy. Ultron, Legacy. Cloak and Dagger, Legacy. Moreland, Legacy. Fatality is the first one that we get from an actual set. World's Finest, Legacy. Okay, we have Hulk. All right, from Avengers Forever. 200 points. Nobody playing him. Century, 12 movement. Nobody playing him. And that's like, I think you have to like heal. Nope, that's 115 point dollar. Yeah, nobody playing 115 point Century. Not with the way these damage values are in these streets. Miss Kane, okay. Dormammu Red, which that homie was fire, no pun intended, but realistically, no one's playing Dormammu Red right now. No one's feeling, the sulfuric flames. No one's smelling that in, saying that that's perfume. Let's go. Okay, Darkstar Legacy. Now we got Rogue from Hellfire Club Gala. All right, great. Nobody's running that chick at 100. Okay, and then now we are going into X of Swords, where we're spending, I would argue, a significant more points, and we are seeing at this point in time older design. Okay. So now, if we're breaking it down, if we're breaking it down, larger maps, because that's what they really are now. They're the large maps versus the other maps being the tiny maps. Look how the propaganda has hit us. The larger maps that still exist are going to be so disruptive to everything additionally that's going to come out that it's going to put a lot of pressure onto X of Swords, and even I'll throw that, it's on both X of Swords set and even the Hellfire Club Gala, okay, and Legacies. And I know some of you are gonna be like, hold up, wait, this doesn't make sense. Why are you saying this? Okay, let's go back to our analysis. When we said, all right, what's the quick analysis? The quick analysis is my map I dominate on, an indoor map and an outdoor map. Okay, for whatever reason, I want to have that 3. But when we start looking at, more distinct, what we are realistically now saying is, I need a map that I dominate on. I need to determine if I need an outdoor standard map or an outdoor larger map or an indoor smaller map or an indoor larger map. So now our selection is not that easy. Okay? The next thing that we're coming into, is then we are now making decisions about I have the word in my head. It's like efficacy. I think it's efficacy, but I'm probably not saying it right. There's probably it's a T instead of an F. Anyway, but the concentration of power that we're going to get with this map. All right, and I know some people be like, well, of course, Dark Logos, you have the tiny map, and then you're going to be hyper aggressive on the tiny map, and then you have the larger maps if you're going to be defensive. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. A larger map, if you are designed and built to just be like, yeah, I'm alphaing, but you are alphaing with conditions, a large map is perfect for you because the highest movement for majority of these figures in these streets right now from these new sets is 10. It's 10. So with 10 being like, I'm the Flash, I'm Wonder Woman, I'm Superman. Okay, are they traveling down that far and zippity-doo-dying everybody down that far? The answer is no. Clearly the answer is no. Okay? And when you go to Cy Borgman, he's got an 8. And he's one of your best new taxis. He came in and said, yo, I'm going to try to do that Vito Magneto thing. Sort of. Going to try. Okay? I'm part of the Silver Lantern Corps. Get it because he's old. Okay, so when we're looking at that, we're dealing with a new reality. We're dealing with a new reality. On a large map, if I have, taxis like Cyborgman, and I want an alpha, it may just be beneficial for me to have a range team. Or have more range threats than I do melee threats. Maybe this melee meta viewpoint is not a good look. Absolutely. Maybe, just maybe, you're going to have to, diversify your content of your team just a bit more. Or maybe specialize a bit more. You could say, like with Dark Logos, I could put on that tiny map. There might be problems. I'm like, if you put on that tiny map, you should be able to reach from coast to coast. Like coast to coast, country to country. I got that passport. Let's go. Okay, like that's what you should be able to do. And if you can't solve for stealth and elevation problems, you need to reevaluate your team. Like 100%. If you cannot solve for stealth and elevation problems, you need to reevaluate your team. And I know some folks will be like, but Dark Logos, you didn't say blocking. Yes, blocking should always be a natural deterrent from range. For range. Okay? So, where does that put us in our thinking? Okay? Where does that put us in our setup? Okay? It puts us in a very decent situation. It puts us in a very decent situation because as we are breaking down and looking at these maps, the first thing that we can say is, hey, X of Swords maps are at a premium. Because look, we have Otherworld Castle. Oh, I take that back. We do still have Otherworld Castle. I'll take that back. I was wrong. We have Otherworld Castle. We have Limbo, which says Limbo is legal. Okay. We have Morlock Tunnels and Krakoan Gardens. So right there, we have 2 outdoor, 2 indoor. And then we have Shadow of the Starlight Citadel, which is a beautiful looking map, but oh my gosh, it's a pain in the butt to put together. Okay. All right. We have Jailbreak indoor map, Chemical Plant outdoor map, Avengers Compound winter outdoor map, Star-Lord ship indoor map. Okay. Now we go down. We actually have some more larger maps because Batman Team Up were on some stuff. Okay. It was on some stuff. Okay. So you have. Hold. Let me. You know what? Give me a second. Let me check. Let me check to make sure because I haven't really played Prison Break. Let me see if that Prison Jailbreak. Oh no. Yeah. Those are large maps. So there's going to be some push for those too. Okay. So like Star-Lord ship. Yeah. There's going to be some love for those. Okay. So let's see. Let's keep going. All right. So then, we got our Wakanda, and I think, and this is my opinion. I personally believe that Wakanda. Yes, I am the Black Panther fan, but I do believe that Wakanda is going to be more and more the map of choice for people. I just do. You have Council of Red Chambers. That's an outdoor. You have Avengers Tower outdoor, Shield Holding Facility indoor. I think that this Shield Holding Facility is the new Morlock Tunnels. It's a tiny Morlock Tunnels. I know some folks would be like, really? I'm like, yes, there's a big freaking wall in the map. If you in cells, if you cannot manipulate that, I'm sorry, homie, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there should be, there's tons of old shows I have about manipulating that, and I don't get, AdSense, so it's not like I'm telling you that for me to get paid. Like, I don't get AdSense. Okay, so when we are looking at all of these things, all of these maps, the first thing that should come to your mind is, wow, I only on this list of maps, I think we only have 2 indoor-outdoor maps. That means they both have indoor and outdoor terrain. Okay? Not only that, we seem to be at a pretty close equal distribution between indoor and outdoor maps, with outdoor taking a little bit of the lead, I think. Okay, just this is my spot observation, not my in-depth counting, okay? Then the next issue that I think that we're going into when we start like breaking down our map situation is this. All right, because of the layout of these maps, for a good chunk of them are Ghetto reprints, where they just shrunk old maps and saved money. Okay. Some old tricks work. Some new tricks work. Okay. Meshing old and new tricks, is it possible? Yes, maybe require a little work. Okay. So when we're going back to my analysis, and I say this, hey, what were the most dominating maps, that you view right now? And I would tell you from my perspective is construction site, because the homies are going to be playing that because of Spider-Man. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, I would argue, is Wakanda. Number 3 would be Morlock Tunnels. And from there, I would say it's up to you and your team. There is nothing out of this new set that's just, bam, this is dominating. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that this map is this suppressive. Even though you can make an argument for that for Injustice Gang Hideout, which when you look at it, your opponent is not going to pick, if you pick that map, your opponent's not going to be like, yeah, man, I'm going to hide along these walls. I'm going to put my entire team that I need to massively deploy behind these starting jail cells. I'm going to do that. No, that's not going to happen. If you see that your opponent can sit in their base and just do whatever they want to do, you don't pick map for you to. You don't pick this map. Don't pick this map. That's real obvious. Okay. All right. So let's go to my second point about this terrain problem. This terrain problem that we have. Okay. All right, so let's all go to 8C units. Okay. And you can look at terrain. And the thing I like about 8C units with the terrain is that you can see all of the nice, cool details about what it's offering you. Okay. So you have let's look at, you have your 1x1 blocking. And my only sort of caveat with looking at the 1x1 blocking is as follows. Be very, 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 very careful. And don't just think that you can place anything all willy-nilly down. Okay? Just don't think you can place anything all willy-nilly down. Because all of these terrains are not created equal. I'll say it again. All of these terrains are not created equal. All right? So, you're going to say, like, but Dark Logos, a Black Panther statue is the same as an ice block. No, it's not. No, it's not. I can chuck a Black Panther statue and it'll do 3. A ice block, when I chuck it, it'll do 2. These things aren't the same. You know, one of these things is not like the others. All right, so breaking down one by one blocking first, because that's the easiest one to sort of get into your mind. A one by one blocking is useful if your opponent is stupid, or you are going second, because your opponent must place all their terrain and stuff first. A one by one blocking is mostly useful if you have terrain effects that you want to guarantee, and you want to make sure that if your starting area gets cluttered, that you're not taking up a whole lot of space with one terrain. If you have like Prime Hulk, that's a good example of, yeah, I only really need a one by one blocking, unless you're trying to make like a ton of hindering terrain, which that is legit too. Okay. So a one by one blocking, the first thing, the reason I'm saying is it's great for jacking with your opponent is if you see that your opponent relies on TK, and you are going second. And again, this is a very situational thing. You could just lay that one piece of square down right in front of him to limit his line of fire, so he can't TK directly ahead. For a lot of teams, this is disruptive enough, but again, they'll be like, well, I'll just TK at a diagonal. That is completely legal. Okay, as long as they can draw the line of fire. All right. There are some chokes, and I would say, like, yeah, you want to look for chokes and whatnot, but you're not really using your one by ones for that. You're using your one by ones as, in my opinion, you're trying to trigger terrain effects, and you're using them as dirty objects. And I mean by dirty objects is that you're picking them up and planning to pop somebody in the head with them, and you're going to use them as shields as you move forward. So you have like a movement, sidestep, super strength. So you're going to go sidestep, pick it up, move, drop it. Now I have this little shield that's in front of me. My opponent, yeah, they can get around it, but they're going to have to get at a odd angle if they want to shoot me. You can combine this with, oh, hey, guess what? I get free 2 squares of barrier. I get free 1 square barrier. Like, those sort of things are great, okay? When you combine the sidestep, super strength, movement, meta, okay? So that's where a 1x1 is good. Let's move to 2x1 blocking, and I'm going to go down all of them, the different types, okay, so that you're not confused. And some of you are going to be like, man, Dark Logo's treating us like we're 5-year-olds. I'm like, I mean, a little bit, but I'm trying to go from the basics because I've never covered this. And yes, other people have covered them, but no one's really just saying, let's start here, okay? Then we're going to scaffold on top of that. Everybody's just assumed that you're a world champion. You understand what's going on, okay? So let's go to a 2x1s. What are we looking at our 2x1s immediately? First off, our 2x1s in most situations are giving us reach. Okay, so we're popping off with that giant reach. All right, 2. So we can say, all right, hey, Dark Logos, all right, I get it. Like, I get a little bit of range. What good does this do? All right, so if we look at the dirt wall takes 4 damage to destroy versus 3. What does that mean for us in a normal game? Okay. That means that if our opponents are not paying attention, they are going to waste energy trying to divert, their attack to destroy that wall. And by divert energy, I mean is, does the opponent want to spend 4 damage to destroy a dirt wall? The answer is no. They want to spend that hitting your character. They want to roll dice and hit your character with that 4 damage, not the dirt wall. The fact that the dirt wall requires 4 damage makes it a nice one-time Ghetto, super mega impervious roll to your force. Okay? And I know some folks say it's like, but no, that is true. If your opponent has to spend more energy to take care of this piece of terrain, which has equal cost to all other pieces of terrain, then yeah, it is a huge advantage. Like, should terrain cost points? Yeah, it should. Does it? No. Whose fault is that? WizKids. But again, as they say, the first hit is free. They're trying to get you onto this terrain, nonsense first, and then later on, they may be charging points for it. And if they're charging points for it in the future, you might see way better terrain, or you might just see the same ghetto stuff just repackaged. Who knows? Okay, so it takes 4 damage to destroy a dirt wall. I get Giant Reach 3. Did my damage go up? No. All right, on a lot of these maps that we currently have, is this useful? Why, yes, it is. If I go back to the sidestep super strength meta that I'm telling you about, I can go to shield holding facility and wall in the door once game starts. Okay, just right there, like that's an immediate use. If I'm on Wakanda and I'm on the top part, I can use that to just sidestep, pick it up, drop it right in between those 2 other pieces of blocking and have like a mini fort. All right. Let's see. If I am on construction site, certain places, I could just stop those areas from being, occupiable elevated terrain. So there is a lot that you can like just do with it. And I know some of you are going to be like, Dark Logos, what about the larger maps? Well, there's some stuff that we can do on the larger maps. And again, I am focusing modern age, and if you want to go back to, older maps or whatever, you can. So let's go to Prison Jailbreak. Let's say the space in between, I could just drop it off on H and I-17. That can give me a forward position that is quite nice. I can go and be annoying to my opponent if they are TKing. I can put... I can put down my 2 squares of blocking on C and D columns to obstruct TK, E and F, or a combination of D, E, and F. Same thing for K, L, M, and N, 22, and then also K, L, M, and N, 3. I can also come in if I'm feeling really creative and want to be annoying, thinking about landing positions, knowing that the average movement, or let's say I have the Cyborgman situation where he's going to travel 8, I can go in and have my force to one side and then place that blocking, that 2x1 somewhere around either, depending on what side I'm on, around 11 or 14. Forcing my opponent to only have 1 forward piece instead of 2 or 3 forward pieces. Okay, so these are like minor little things that you can be thinking about. All right, so the next thing is we have the cabinet. The cabinet and the mud wall, dirt wall, they're pretty much the same thing. Okay. All right, now here's my boy. Here's my boy, the large crate. The large crate is 2x2. These suckers are wonderful for Morlock tunnels. They are crack cocaine for Morlock tunnels. All right. Now, my only thing that I will sort of throw up and count it to the game is, yes, they do take 3 damage. And in a world with no Molecule Man and we just have normal fire hydrants, yeah, they can be punked real easily. But not as easy as it was before. Not as easy as it was before. And this is why I was saying Morlock Tunnels is by far that's one of the top 3 maps in the meta right now. Because of this. Okay? Because once we start putting this down in Morlock Tunnels and we pick our side, our opponent has to be like, well, I can't go through the clear walkway that was there. I now have to spend actions busting through walls and advancing. And if you're busting through walls and advancing, guess what? I more than likely have already found a way to defend up from that angle as well, or I have my multiple barrier pieces on that side, and I'm prepared to do whatever I need to do, in that corner. Now, I know some of you will come back and say, "But Dark Logos, we don't have the evil devil anymore, Scarab," and I know, and that is true. We don't have the spawn of the negative world, Scarab, anymore. We don't have him. But as a tactic, that is there. Because if I by chance, decide, hey, I just don't want to deal with your team right now. Come on, come get it. I can now just solidify that position even more. Okay, so large crates, they are good enough because they are going to be obstructing a lot of map. Now let's go look at practical application. Okay, so you have maps like Oscorp's Warehouse, where placing that starting off is going to be a problem because you have a lot of transitional squares that typically would have been awesome for you to place these in, but you can't place them in. So what I would tell you is, if you are looking at restricting movement, there are a couple of key squares that are great. You can, if you're playing to set up in the MNOP and your opponent is at the bottom of the map, and again, you are going second, placing the large crate in HI 10 and 11, or a large crate by, let's see, KL 7 through 8, or putting a large crate near your starting area. Again, sidestep, super strength meta, right there in JK 2 through 3. Like, that's great. And here's why. Sidestep, super strength meta, sidestep, boom, drop that crate right into H and I 2 and 3. Now you've sort of walled this off. You forced your opponent to have to like blast through that once the game starts. And you can make excuse me. If you're first player and you're in that situation, you maintain some level of first turn immunity because you really don't need to leave your starting area to set that up. And then if you want the fight to sort of flow towards, the A-B side of the map, you can. Because what is your opponent going to do? Spend all of that energy trying to go up and destroy that piece of terrain and then attack? A lot of people are going to just say, well, that's a path that I really don't want to have to do, and well, he's already over near A and B, so I'm just going to go ahead and go up that way. Now, guess what you've done? If your opponent decides, well, I'm going to take the easy road, they confined their force into about 4 columns. And let's just say you're running Golden Glider. That's perfect for her. Okay? So that's something for you to consider. Okay? Next, I would definitely say when we're looking at this piece of terrain, we're primarily looking at it as, hey, early on, if I need that extra square barrier to cover myself, this is going to be useful. Now, could you just get a dirt wall? Yeah. This is where the dirt wall beats the cabinet, because the dirt wall takes 4 damage to destroy and not 3. But yeah, you could. All right, let's go down to my servant, who is strong in the faith. That's that's what I've been saying to my boy Wes Summers. Any figure that's good, it's like, have you considered my servant? He is strong in the faith. Machine is, I would argue, the number 1 or number 2 piece of terrain in the game. Let's look at it. Let's look at it why. All right, first off, 4 damage. It takes 4 damage to destroy the machine. Second, the L shape allows for you to take care of weirder situations that don't come up until you start seeing them. Okay? And I know some of these folks is like, that's some like Yoda level stuff, Dark Logo. Let's make it plain. Okay. So let's say I have 4 characters, opposing characters in a square formation, a 2x2 formation. Okay. I want to make sure that the characters that are on the left side, or sort of the right side, are not able to draw line of fire to what I'm going to be doing eventually. Okay? Because I have some other effect that's going on. Okay? Alright. I can I could say like, hey, I have a 2x1, I could place it, it's flush with the edge. Well, guess what? You have this direct diagonal on either the bottom or the top piece, and if I need to operate in those zones, guess what? I'm sort of out of luck. Okay, you could say, well, I could put the 2x1, and it's sort of down to the bottom or up to the top, and then what will end up happening is it's like I'll block off one, sort of absolutely, and the other one is just going to still see. All right. When you create this L, you can place it down so that if you're operating on the other side of the L, of the machine, both figures can't draw a line of fire, and then you could also potentially make it so that a third figure cannot draw a line of fire if you're operating on the other side of the machine. And a lot of people will more look at the machine as, or the L, as more of, hey, this is a very strong fortification piece, which it is. But it also is a very strong block line of fire tool. Okay, so when you start looking for opportunities to just flat out, I'm going to stop y'all's prob. I'm going to stop I need to be able to see them effect. I'm going to stop, me requiring to target all blankety blank characters. Now I don't do that. Even protecting your own team. A L can protect just more figures. And again, the cost of all this is free. I'm not paying for this machine. Okay? All right. When we look on maps, again, Morlock Tunnels, it is the place to be. Shield Holding Facility, it is the place to be. You can be very screwy with this on Shield Holding Facility. Like, really screwy with this on Shield Holding Facility. And you can really, I won't say completely negate approaches because that's a lie. You can slow down a lot of approaches just by putting that terrain in that I, J, and K columns. Just right there. It's just annoying. Okay, and you will restrict combat, and that's the whole point. If I don't want to take away from anything else, and I hope you just gain this one thing. If you don't gain anything else from this terrain section, and how I'm applying terrain. Terrain's main function is to either restrict combat or enable combat. If I lose track of that, how its placement is restricting combat or enabling combat, then it's completely worthless. If your opponent doesn't see how they're going to restrict combat or enable combat with their terrain, they have given you free pieces to manipulate. Again, just how leadership became a staple, super strength and sidestep is going to be a staple. Once folks start to understand how dumb it is in these streets with this terrain. Okay. All right. Let's go on to Elevated. 1x1 Elevated is your friend. It's probably your number 3 pick, unless you need a special terrain. Why is it your number 3 pick? Because it deals with this Killmonger BS. It deals with this Iron Inquisitor BS. Hypersonic speed, super strength, sidestep. hypersonic speed. Go pick up the terrain. Boom. Go make your attack. Don't care. Make sure you're attacking. Somebody's not next to Killmonger or Iron Inquisitor. Boom. Drop your terrain. Now you're elevated. Now they're no longer adjacent. Kill everything else. Kill it during this turn. Just kill it. And I know some folks are going to say, but Dark Logos, they're still adjacent. No, they are not. He is on a different elevation. They are no longer adjacent for that game mechanics purposes. Light them up. Okay? And am I salty that I can't really afford to buy a Killmonger for my collection? No, I'm not. I am more just telling you this like, look, this is the reality. All right? If we're looking at practical application, elevated terrain should be one of the main things that you are looking at for two basic reasons. Number one is to separate friendlies from each other. Number two is knockback damage or fall damage. Okay? That is immediately why you should be looking at these pieces. Because when you're looking at those pieces in that function, you're going to start seeing a lot of opportunities that weren't there to you before that are there now. Okay? And that's really important. All right. Next up is my homie, The Shelf. For he is strong in the faith. Okay? My homie, The Shelf, is strong in the faith. I played this at Worlds. The Shelf is by far the superior version of the turned over desk. Why is that? So when I yeet this in a ranged attack, it does 3 damage. It gives me +2 damage in a melee attack. Okay? It just is. It's just superior. Alright? Now I know some of you will say, hey, I'm noticing a trend, Dark Logos. And I'm like, really? You are? And it's like, yeah. It seems that one set has the superior version of the exact same terrain, and the other set doesn't. That is correct. The cabinet comes in the Spider-Man set. The dirt wall comes with the Avenger 60 set. Which one's better? Avenger 60. Then we go and we look at turned over desk. What set does that come out of? Oh, Avenger 60. The Shelf. Which set does that come out of? Oh, it comes out of the Spider-Man set. Oh, okay. We clearly see. All right, here's my other one. Scaffolding. Again, it is strong in the faith. All right. It's giving me that lovely 3 damage. These are the things that you're going to have to be noticing. Okay. Now, why am I looking at 2x1s on my map? Why am I looking at 2x1s on my map? You are more looking at 2x1 elevateds primarily to obstruct line of fire and gain line of fire. Okay, if you're not doing the boop, I placed this up here, now I take you down tricks, or you're not adjacent for mastermind, you are using it to gain line of fire or obstruct line of fire. It is amazing how people will be like, man, all their characters just clustered together. I just wish I could get an energy explosion off. It'd be great. But I can't get line of fire. Well, there's this thing called a shelf. All you have to do is get into position. Once you get into position, you run a shot on top of it, and you will be able to see. Okay? If you know that your opponent has a formation team, a turned over desk or a shelf is your great advantage. Now, if you're going to say like, oh, I need to get the homies up here, a shelf, because you're able to bring at least one character up for enhancement. Okay, so these are the things that folks aren't thinking about, and they're just completely just glossing over. Next up is the mound. The mound, you need to look at it sort of like the machine's like crazy cousin that smokes crack. It's good when it's sober. But when it's not, it's crazy. Now, so here's the reason why I say that. The mound creates a situation where you are able to block a lot of different types of line of fire if you play it perfectly. Okay? The problem is Improvement destroys blocking. Once you cross that diagonal or into that square of blocking, the whole thing is destroyed. So I only say, like, you got to be careful with the mound. The mound has that one key weakness, but it takes 5 damage to destroy. It gives you +2 damage for a melee attack. Does 3 damage at range. Okay, I gotta say, hey, this is a far better piece of terrain. It gives you Giant Reach 2. All right, but again, this key weakness makes it a little bit suspect. All right. Next up, these last two used to be my big bros for terrain. And then I stopped really messing with them and hanging out with them for a reason. All right, so I have the shipping container and I have the round platform. The round platform is 3x3. The shipping container is 2x3. Why are these terrains big deal? And these terrains are a big deal for one key thing. You can just mess with large swaths of characters at once. You also get Giant Reach 3. That alone to me is worth it. The platform gives you +2 damage, so does the shipping container. Now, you can come back and say, hey, Dark Logos, why aren't they strong in the faith? Well, my good sirs and good madam that is listening to my show, I will tell you why they are not strong in the faith. The first reason is, let's go to our Oscorp warehouse. Okay, where am I putting a shipping container? Let's say I am at the top of the map. Okay, well, you can say, well, Dark Logos, I put the shipping container in the middle. Yes, you can. How useful is it in your placement? You're very restricted on where you can put it. So now we have a problem. I have this awesome piece of terrain. My opponent picks a map where I can't put it by any transitional squares. And these open doors are transitional squares for some reason. And yeah, that completely almost gimps any early, access placement or opposing placement where they can't just like blow it up easily or just be frustrating to me and use it for themselves. Same thing for the platform. I love some platform. I love platform. But the problem comes in is that, again, you get maps like Oscorp, you get maps, I won't say shield holding facility, but depending on how you're set up on the Injustice Gang hideout, you get these, you just can't place them where you want to place them. So that you can start jacking with people. And that's their point. Your point of you having them, like I said, is to restrict combat or enable combat. And if they can't do their job because they're just too darn big and need to go on a diet, then there's a problem. Okay? So, I'm going to go and cover hindering in water terrain real quick. And I know like the majority of our like cool terrain is in the hindering, the steel mesh and the heart-shaped herb. Those are cool. Okay. And I'm going to just cover those really quickly by saying, play them if you like them. They are not mandatory yet. Play them if you like them. They are not mandatory yet. There is not a game state right now that just requires that you have heart-shaped herb. There is no figure that's just like, if you heal, since this last turn, you are able to gain +3 stats and make 5 free attacks. There's no character that does that, and even if there was, you would run support. Okay, steel mesh fencing. The only reason that you are running this is if you have a position that you know you're going to be firing from. Other than that, you're not using this. The problem with the steel mesh fencing and the heart-shaped herb indicate, and this is our problem with fundamentally hindering terrain markers. They telegraph where your fortification is. And I know some of you will say, but dark logos, come on, homie, man. What do you think the blocking terrain is doing? Fair. But I'm more making it clear. Okay, when we are looking at, like, let's just say in particular steel mesh fence, heart-shaped herb, you're saying to your opponent, yeah, man, he's going to either camp here or he's going to return here for his last stand. I need to be in a position that if I'm aggressive, that they can't do that. Whereas with the blocking terrain is, I got to siege that. And then the game can just go anywhere from there. Okay? Two different mindsets. The one, your opponent, the first one, your opponent knows where you're going to be and is going to start planning for contingencies around that general zone. The second one, your opponent knows that they have to engage that zone, and then the game is going to go out from that point. Knowing that, they still have a taxi. He could just dip. Whereas with the heart-shaped herb, most of the time your opponent's not going to run from that. They have some plan to try to rally from that position. So more of what I'm going to present to you is hindering terrain in all its forms is more a term or can be more viewed as rally engagement and engagement points than fortification points. Okay, rally and engagement points more than fortification points. All right. So there realistically are not a lot of terrain of note other than like the grave marker that you just got GIMP for whatever reason. And I think it's just primarily to have markers than anything else. Because you only can use them in a ranged attack 4 squares. And then the plant hindering terrain is more thematic. You don't know. These are thematic pieces that are not good for you mechanically. If poison ivy needs to sprout up water coolers, that chick gonna be sprouting up water coolers. You hear me? Not plastic barrel. Plastic barrel. That's better. Plastic barrel. She's gonna be full on plastic flowers. All right. So there is again, like, oh, here's the skeleton. No, nobody's gonna be. Don't get it twisted. People can get hit with the skeleton, and yes, that could come out and surprise some people. But realistically, most people aren't going to do that. Now, do understand that can be done, but most people aren't going to be doing that. All right. Again, let's look at some outliers. Here's my servant, the desk. It is strong in the faith. It gives us +2 damage when we use it as a melee attack. Same thing with my servant, front loader. It is strong in the faith. It gives us giant reach 2, and then it also gives us +2 damage. Okay, so here's I-beam. It is strong. It is super strong in the faith. It gives us a giant reach 3 and +2 damage. All right, and there is my servant, the anchor, who is too dang awkward 90% of the time to be useful. Okay, so that's it. That's it for today's show. I know you're gonna say, "Oh, wait, pool of lava, dark logos. What are you gonna do about pool of lava?" I mean, you need to have a plan about how you're going to be using it to damage folks, because you can't move it through standard ways. Okay, so you need to figure out like how you're gonna get that sucker around. Be aware, like, folks can TK that sucker under you. Don't be surprised. So, all right, that's it for today's show. I'd like to thank you all for listening and staying in there. Yeah, that's it. So I'd like to real quick, I know it seems really awkward with all the map stuff and not having map stuff up. I really do encourage you to look at AC units. It is going to give you a wealth of resources that are just worth it. So, like always, remember, We all have